Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Insuring User Interface User Experience webinar hosted by Stuckey & Company. My name is Tyler Bechtel, the Business Development Representative here at Stuckey & Company, and we appreciate everyone joining us today and for your time this Tuesday afternoon. It does appear we still have some attendees still logging on to the webinar, so before we get started, I just wanted to go through a few things. First, if you'd like to ask a question, please find the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Please ask any questions, and we will certainly do our best to get to your questions during and after the webinar. Next, I would like to thank Dwight Stuckey, our president here at Stuckey & Company, along with Maggie Hammett, our lead technology underwriter, for presenting today. Thank you both for your time today and making yourself available. So about Stuckey & Company, we are an MGA, and we provide our independent insurance agents and brokers with innovative insurance programs along with excellent service that they need to ensure long-term growth and success. As of today, Stuckey & Company has 9 specialty insurance programs that we offer to our agents. This year, we have started our 27th year in the business while serving over 9,000 licensed independent insurance agencies and over 200,000 customers, while providing excellent service from our unmatched 151 promise. At Stuckey, we do everything from creating niche specialty insurance programs for our agents and manage all areas of the insurance cycle, including underwriting, rating, quoting, the binding process. We also issue policies and policy services such as processing endorsements and change requests. We handle the renewal issuance, invoicing and billing, reporting, systems integration, claims handling, marketing, and training, such as this webinar today. Here is a list of 8 of our specialty insurance programs that we offer to our agents. First, we have SafetyTek, our technology E&O insurance program, which we'll be going into here shortly. Aspire A&E for architects and engineers. ArborGuard, Stuckey's first program, started 27 years ago, which handles marinas and boat dealers. We have our miscellaneous professional liability program, which consists of over 320 eligible classes in MPL. We have Element for the green energy industry. We also have, of course, our personal lines, which includes homeowners, personal auto, watercraft, high-value home, and more. And then we have our commercial lines markets, which includes BOP, work comp, commercial auto, bonds, just to name a few. And last, we have our surplus lines markets for the non-standard lines for any risk that falls outside of our underwriting guidelines. All right, so now I'd like to pass the presentation over to Dwight Stuckey, our president, and he would like to go into further detail of ensuring user interface along with user experience, and also discuss more regarding augmented reality and also virtual reality, and explain how technology is being applied to the different industries. Dwight?
Thank you, Tyler. So it is said that the ratio between designers and developers are 7 to 100 for every 100 developers. So in other words, like 7%. And we've managed the SafetyTek program for a long time, and we want to pass some of that confidence, credibility, and show you the opportunity. So we're going to go over a bunch of examples and learn some terminology used in the industry. So in our context of IT software and general computing, user interface and user experience started with this thing right here. So batch computing, really when computing power didn't exceed that of just the modern microwave ovens. The user interface of batch computers consisted of the input of a punch card. When I started college back in '85, I was some of the last people that used and learned how to program punch cards. And they weren't that fun, but it was what it was. And, so after that, the next user interface progression was the introduction of the video display. Having command line inputs appear on the screen and be able to modify them was much faster than having them printed and feeding them into that machine. This picture right here is, MS-DOS. And I totally remember the MS-DOS, like black and white, the green monochrome screens and stuff. When IBM launched it, it was really, it revolutionized personal computing. The IBM PC in August of '81, when that was, it came complete with a 16-bit operating system. And it was really one of the first operating systems that was widely used for the PC and the clones. I remember that one of the things there, it's just not very clear, but you can see the dir, and I totally remember, amongst a bunch of other commands, the directory command that would show you the files and folders on the computer. So in 1984, Apple debuted the operating system that is known as the classic Mac operating system, with its release of the original Macintosh system software. And if you come into our office, you will see that I have one of the old Macintosh classics sitting on my credenza. But it was rebranded in '96 as the Mac OS. But this is the first time that the computer came pre-installed with the operating system. It's pretty cool. The user interface design became more graphical, with special icons for the trash on the bottom right, disks, and the system software. Also, the mouse began to be used to interact with the computer. And I remember back in the day, my mom worked with us, and she told me that she would never use that mouse. But she began using it, and it obviously became second nature. This is the Mac OS High Sierra, and was announced at WWDC in 2017. Mac High Sierra is the 14th major release of Macintosh's operating system. One of the things I wanted to show you here, and it's not very clear again, but up in the top right-hand side is the Siri. And, we're now beginning to use Siri. We click on the button, we open Siri, it does the little beeps, and it waits to allow you to tell it a command, and then it will perform that command, like emailing or texting or finding something on the internet or whatever. So this is where we kind of evolved to. So the rise of the smartphone, right? Everybody has one. Sometimes I get a kick out of asking a teenager if they know how to use this complex device. But the smartphone is really has everything that we need to process some of these extensive, computing things that we do today. Gives us high-speed access to the internet, Wi-Fi, mobile broadband, and most of them have a Bluetooth and satellite nav and all that stuff. And I was just kind of brainstorming, figuring out what all we can do with the smartphones. But online chat, calls, video chat, email, cameras. My phone has 3 cameras, 2 on the back, 1 on the front. The navigation, obviously, weather forecasting, media player, clock, news, calculator, web browsing, all these things, a flashlight, compass, payments, all these things, and they're obviously, they all combine into a user experience that that we expect from, you know, the computing power that we have today in our pocket. So augmented reality and virtual reality are just kind of some of the things that are coming next, I guess. Augmented reality adds digital elements to a live view, often by using a camera or a smartphone. And, you know, I haven't used a ton of them, honestly, but I have used one, and it was to help dissect a frog. I was just kind of messing around with it, but it's really cool. And virtual reality implies a complete immersion experience that shuts out the physical world. And you know, some of the forecasts into AR and VR is that it is going to be at $209 billion by 2022, which is a big number. You know, my brother is a mechanical engineer. He designs machines that test computer chips, and he can actually use his VR glasses to literally walk through his design in VR. So you throw the glasses on, you know, you suit up, you go in, and you can, you know, turn your head up and around and check out to see how things are fitting, how things are operating, and whatnot. I mean, you know, it's pretty cool. So B2C, business to consumer, and B2B, business to business, retail and wholesale online operations obviously use these interface designs and experiences to boost sales. Literally a minor tweak in your UI UX can have a major impact on the business, and in some cases can even boost sales by up to 20% or more. Some trends in the UI UX are blockchain, gamification, robo-advising or chatbots, voice processing, biometrics for security, social integrations, personalizations, big data, and open API and cloud technologies. And on the plant floor, it's necessary to, you know, use human-machine interfaces that help with safety. But I'll also give a couple of financial services and healthcare examples here too that can help with your time and money as well as your health. So here's an example in banking, and you know, just how convenient are electronic and digital signatures. You know, we'll come back to kind of how we insure some of those financial products, financial interactions. But I first saw this, I remember in Brooklyn. I ordered a coffee, and the guy at the coffee shop flipped the square reader around to me, and I signed it, you know, and flipped it back around to him, and that was the end of the transaction. It's a pretty cool technology, and just makes the experience of banking and paying that much easier. So another example are apps. This one is Uber. Everybody probably has used this. But I think this is another example of how super easy and convenient designers have made, the experience. While in Washington, D.C. last week, I bet I used a half a dozen of them. We just opened up the app, told it where we were going, and the Uber picked us up in a couple minutes. And we stepped out of the cab, or this wasn't a cab, we stepped out of the Uber, said goodbye to the Uber driver, and later, we got a notification that we needed to rate or tip, but that was it. And it wasn't as before we got out, right? It was after we got out that we got the notification. And it was just a great experience all the way around. Uber Eats, as you guys know, also in some states and cities, they have that Uber Eats, so they deliver food. So that's transportation, some technology there. So there are over 40,000 health-related apps in healthcare, which is pretty mind-blowing. Everything from fitness, lifestyles, and stress. That picture on the right-hand side there is Breathe. And I thought Breathe was kind of a goofy app, honestly, but I really like it, and it helps a lot. And then diet, nutrition, disease and treating different diseases, and healthcare providers using it as well, using that data. So the experience and interactions have also come to your wrist. Automatic activity trackers, heart rate monitors, GPS, cellular, Siri, all that stuff right on your wrist. So here are some of the definitions that we just went over. And I just wanted to put these up on the screen kind of one more time. And there are so many developers that are doing these things that it really helps. And some of the other terms are website design, graphic design, search engine optimization, social media management, video and photography, of course, SEM and PPC and advertising type stuff. So all of these things are things that when you're talking to your clients and they're talking about their design and database design or gaming or whatever they're talking about as a software developer, you can kind of think back, and these are the interface experiences, and maybe this will help you open up some conversations. So it's in every industry. These are just literally almost every industry that I can think of. And it is very broad, but it still does align well with the SafetyTek product. And here I'll turn it over to Maggie Hammett, lead underwriter for the SafetyTek program, and she'll take you through how to insure UI and UX.
Thanks, Dwight. Amazing information. As you all know, technology is ever evolving, and I really appreciate Dwight's information on these webinars, because even as a technology underwriter, it's hard to keep up with everything changing and all the intricate parts that go into even developing a mobile app. So the virtual reality information and user design is fascinating and fantastic information from Dwight, so I appreciate that. Which this also gives you an idea of the opportunity in technology industry and the need for tech-specific E&O. I know a lot of our agents insure their technology clients on maybe an MTL form, and this kind of opens up your eyes to see how the technology E&O form is definitely better suited for the technology guys, for the details. We make sure we don't miss anything when we cover a particular technology client's insurance. So let me just walk through a few things on our SafetyTek technology. Specific to technology clients, as I mentioned. Some of the things that we offer on the Tech E&O, which Dwight kind of covered. Some of the later things that we've probably maybe all dealt with is the network security services, software development, web hosting. Those types of things are on your main form E&O. We also include additional insuring agreements. For example, the electronic media liability. Just to kind of give you a quick overview of what that would contain is electronic publishing, releasing, gathering, and transmission, production or webcasting, or other distribution of electronic content, as Dwight was mentioning earlier, maybe photographs, things that might be used on the web or in an app, which would be diminished across the internet for others or by the insured. And this also includes the copyright and the trademark, the trade name, trade dress, kind of the intellectual property attributes that you might see and sometimes requested via contract. That's definitely included on the electronic media liability portion. We also have something that's considered network operations security. It also includes the privacy liability, which is very important to a lot of contracts. We're seeing a lot of that more and more with the, it's kind of a mingle between the network operations and the cyber liability as far as privacy breaches go, because you also have the exposure of first party, which is in network operations security, and then we have third party exposure as well, which some is picked up under the professional E&O. So just give you a quick little example on the network operations. This particular insuring agreement is to prevent unauthorized use and unauthorized access of the insured's computer system. So this brings in, again, as I mentioned, first-party coverage. We've also added the cyber liability as an insuring agreement, and this would be the expense to notify customers whose sensitive personal information has been breached. Maybe to retain a computer forensics firm to determine the scope of the breach, maybe how it happened, obtain legal or crisis management services to restore the company's reputation. And a side note, we recently actually have increased limits on our cyber liability, so that's something new and great for us that we're working with, and great to announce. You can always find information on that on my webinars, particular to the SafetyTek. So here's just a few definitions we kind of want to bring it to your attention when we talk about broader coverage. The things our tech form, SafetyTek form, offers the worldwide coverage, so of course any work done in the U.S. and outside the U.S. The advertising and advertising services kind of relates back to the electronic media content that we were talking about. The unauthorized use and unauthorized access here, again, is for the first party, which is the insured's computer system. And then we definitely have a broad definition of insured, which is something very important. We have a lot of our guys that are using subcontractors and independent contractors. And we actually pick up the subcontractor, independent contractor on our policy form language under the definition of insured. And we can also include subsidiaries of the insured if they're listed on the application. So those are just some key points to keep in mind when you're reviewing coverages. This particular section is fantastic. We actually recreated what we call the SafetyTek endorsement, and it's exclusive to the SafetyTek form. You know, why not offer coverage above and beyond what the competitors are doing? And in the SafetyTek expansion, we include first dollar defense, innocent insured, contractual liability, defense costs outside the limits, which is a huge selling point on our particular form. A lot of other carriers, as far as I know, are not really offering that, or if so, it's a large charge, a large percent of the premium. We include telecommunication consulting, management consulting. As we know, some of the technology businesses do go into overall business process, which we consider management consulting. And then we do have the inclusion of the IT staffing for anybody who's doing permanent or temporary placement for IT professionals. So that kind of wraps up what the SafetyTek does and gives you an idea of how we can ensure all these fascinating things going on in the tech world.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and ask them online. We have a few, but just to finish up a few of the slides, these are our values. We are one of the longest standing insurance programs with Westchester, which, you know, it was Cigna before ACE purchased them, and then ACE, and now it's Chubb. And, you know, we're working out of the Westchester unit of Chubb. And it is an exclusive policy form. We have some pretty cool things we're doing. We're reducing the size of the app. We're increasing the limits, the eligibility, and
revenue thresholds are going to be increased.
Yeah. So, and you know, just our values being, you know, we want an A-rated, top of the line carrier is extremely important to us. They are A+15 rated. You know, like I mentioned, we want to increase the eligibility and explain those increases to you, and I obviously identified those in our underwriting guidelines, and we decreased the minimum premium. Sometimes these guys are, they'll be doing work on Upwork or some of those crowdsourced websites, and they'll have $10,000 worth of revenue or $35,000 worth of revenue. So our minimum premiums are starting very low. If you have an opportunity on one of those gig economies like Upwork or CrowdSpring, let us know, and we might be able to work with you even further. This, another thing that I guess that speaks to service is it's very easy for us to set you up, get you appointed. I think almost everybody that is on the webinar is already appointed, but we can also set you up on our online system that'll let you rate, quote, and bind professional liability policies. Our 151 promise is complete hard copy submissions will be handled if they are complete. If it's in by 1, out by 5, in by 5, out by 1 the next day. So it's pretty quick. And any time that we ask you anything, we try to be transparent. So we don't just ask because we don't have time to get around to the submission or anything. We literally will tell you why we're declining an account or why we're asking additional questions, so you can kind of have some ammo to go back to the customer and ask. But we try to quote everything in-house. So these are the contacts for the technology program, the professional and commercial lines. We also have a personal lines department. And if you need any information there, I can get you the contact information. In fact, it'll be added to the follow-up material. But let's get to a few questions. So do we have an online rater? And yes, we have a platform called CoverCore that you can enter the application and rate the coverage. In fact, we can also go on and enroll you into a micro-targeted lead campaign where we will load your portal with customers, and you can market. We will send out 2 postcards, 2 emails, and 2 letters, gaining interest, and you can call on them and close the deal and whatnot. Kind of fill your sales pipeline. Can we offer IP coverage?
Yes, I'll take that, Dwight. We can offer intellectual property coverage. It's actually included under the electronic media activities, but keep in mind that for content development, we also do have a particular intellectual property endorsement that we can add to coverage, which is for software development, and that goes up to $1 million limit.
Okay, and the here's another one: defense outside the limits. We normally include that under the SafetyTek endorsement. Can we just include that as?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely, Dwight. So if you're just looking for defense outside the limits, it's something that you want to just put on the basic contact, we can definitely, any one of our coverages, we have individual endorsements that we can add. So, maybe the insured only wants one part of that, we can definitely add that onto the policy form individually.
Okay, and is there a minimum premium for the IP coverage?
We range from the $250,000, which I believe is 10%, up to the $1 million sublimit, which is roughly 35% of the premium.
Okay.
So it ranges.
And just a couple more questions, and we're right on time, it looks like. Can for a fee wording be deleted?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we have a specific endorsement that we can have that removed. It amends the policy language, but not a problem. In fact, I think there is not a charge, or if so, maybe 5% of the premium, it's not much at all.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that seems like a big one, is that today, gosh, you know, I've heard that if you don't think you're in the technology business, think again, because you're gonna be out of business. So, yeah, even if they don't provide it for a fee, they're still working on that APIs and all types of different things. And the last question is probably a pretty good segue and way to end it. Can I get a copy of the PDF slides? And I will send out a follow-up to this webinar. It'll include the contact sheet, our program guide, a copy of the slides. We're going to link to the recording of the webinar, and a brochure and the playbook, I think, are the things that we're going to send out, right? Mm-hmm. So thank you, everybody, for joining. And if you have any questions, please give us a call.
Thanks, Dwight. Thank you for attending. Have a great day.